So we have Bill Miller with us. We haven't done this in a while, have we, Ron? It's been
There's been quite a hiatus.
yeah. So we will have either made it more enjoyable to come back and listen, or everybody quit caring and it's done. So
we're going to break the ice. We're bringing everybody back.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back with Billy Mills. Billy Mills. It's been I think I started coaching in '99, so it's 23, 24 years.
It's been a hot moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good to have you on. We've talked about doing this for a while and finally got everything situated and coordinated. Ron, do you maybe want to start off, just give a couple thoughts on Bill? You had him as a player, as a coach, and we can get into it.
Yeah, great to have you on, Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was an assistant when Bill played at Cheney. In '86 was your senior year.
Yes.
Bill was a very good player for us, and we developed a relationship as a player-coach. And after he graduated, and I happened to get the job, and soon after that, we kind of hooked up, and Bill started with us. And Bill quickly became part of what I consider our inner circle. I mean, the core of guys that stayed for quite a while and saw the program mature and take off, be restored, if you will. He was part of a group of guys that we all believed that the tradition could continue and work side by side, and not only did we work together, but I believe we became great friends.
Yeah, we have. It's one thing I cherish. It's a very good friendship, one I can rely on.
Yeah.
So what was it kind of like? Were you living on? Did you grow up on Overlook there?
Yeah, I grew up on Overlook. Wasn't born there. I was born in Winchester. Not far from.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pretty close to my grandmother.
Yeah.
Then we moved. I think I was like 2. So it's like 1971. That's hard to believe. So 1971, moved to Overlook. So,
Okay.
And my mom's still there.
Did you? Were you? I guess. What was kind of your first introduction to Cheney football? Were you palling around up there? Was that in your radar?
Oh yeah, I mean, you're in the neighborhood right there, and the school's in the neighborhood, obviously. So we would be up there during, as a little kid running around and stuff, seeing the old tackle-matic and stuff like that, and the basketball hoops would be up there and stuff like that. So, oh yeah, we'd run up there as kids, and every once in a while we'd see a practice. We would go to the games as kids down to, whether it's Rain Stadium or South, watch those games there. I remember, watching them come out of the tunnel at Rand Stadium. That was they're a little guy, and you see these guys come off, you think like they're heroes. I mean,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you get your first introduction to the program, so to speak. And then as I got older, just started gravitating more and more until you got in school and went and played a little bit.
You weren't one of those guys that ran that would ask the guys for their chin strap. I remember as a player coming out of the tunnel at Ran and kids hanging over the side saying, "Hey, number whatever, can I have your chin strap?"
Yeah, I might have been that one of those guys. I probably got like a piece of tape or something thrown at me or something from walk up. Never got a chin strap that I can recall.
Well, I'm thinking, well, at the time, well, I don't know. If I give you my chin strap, I don't know if Red's going to give me another one.
That's true. Yeah, I don't remember getting a chin strap, so I don't think I was one of those kids, or I just didn't get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you came up with charging everybody for mouthpieces and chin straps and.
There you go.
$1 for the missing chin strap or mouthpiece.
So did you go to Volney or were you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was a Volney kid.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So I went to West for 6th grade.
Okay.
My building got closed. Washington Elementary. Remember that
Oh
place?
yeah! Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
they tore
Oh,
it
yeah,
down.
I
I was in
went-
5th grade.
I went to kindergarten
Oh
there.
yeah, I was a kickball legend in 5th grade. I get to kick it over the fence. It goes down the freeway. It's over for the day, but you're a playground legend if you
Right.
get it over that fence.
Yeah.
Make the aides go down the freeway to pick it up. So that was fun there. But they closed that in 5th grade. So went to West for 1 year and then Volney.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then you transitioned to your playing days.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Any memories from there? Did they have a freshman team at that? So
They did. I didn't play my freshman year.
Okay.
Okay. I actually didn't play. My sophomore year I started playing. So sophomore then through.
Okay.
But they did have one. I'm pretty sure they did.
I always kind of wonder. Talk to Lamonji about this. Playing for Coach Mady, right? Then having the opportunity to coach with Ron, playing for Ron as an assistant. It's always kind of you got to kind of see both aspects of things, and I think that's kind of a unique experience and perspective. And what did you feel like as a player? You felt some of your best experiences or memories that kind of hung with you?
Well, the biggest part as a player, once again, you remember it's about making those memories. You remember the locker, remember the camaraderie of the players with your fellow teammates. But I remember, Coach, the intensity never changed as far as on your side of the ball. It was always, it was always the same. And when we came to start coaching with you, it was the same thing, which I always appreciated. It didn't change. It was consistent. It was a constant. And, the defense was up and at 'em, intense and getting after it. So playing as a safety with you, that was a fun thing to be part of, and seeing all these guys, and it was good. It was good. But I mean, you always that's what I take away. You take away the memories, and you still get to see guys. Like, I played with Alan Mikovich and get to talk to him still a little bit and see some of these guys every once in a while. Like I'll see George Phillips every once in a blue moon. But I don't see so many guys that used to. So during that time, you took away all that stuff. I remember situations. I remember parts of games. I don't have that clairvoyant memory back then where I can say, all this stuff happened. Like, I saw Keelan Dykes talking one day on the podcast. He's rattling off things that I'm like, holy cow! I cannot recall half those things that can happen. But I remember instances. I remember certain games, like our Struthers game my senior year. I remember that game. I remember certain things as far as like overtime against South and those type of things. But it's hard. It's pretty far removed from high school.
Yeah.
That means I'm getting old. That's what that means. I can't recall all those instances, but I do recall guys, and I recall moments. But I recall crazy things like you talk about now how we got to hydrate kids and so on and so forth. I recall seeing a water bucket with a one ladle and dirt and grass, and you were loving every minute of just getting some water. It's got 8 guys over a bucket with sweat dripping in it. I mean, I remember things like that. Nowadays you laugh about stuff like that. So, but that's what I remember.
Changed quite a bit, huh?
It's changed quite a bit. Yeah, it's changed immensely, and probably a little bit for the better.
Yeah.
No question.
A little bit for the better. Yeah. So.
What kind of brought you to the decision to coach and the pursuit of coaching?
Okay, well, I always loved the game. That was a big deal. I love football. I love everything the game represents. And even though when I graduated, I wasn't coaching with you just yet. I was still a little bit involved. I was helping out with the youth football team, West Side Patriots, back in the day. And I was still just doing a little bit of it. When I went to school, I actually started as an engineer. I was an engineering major, and I thought that's what I was going to do. So, but I just wasn't having fun with it. The classes that just started coming up, that just wasn't me. So as I was doing this coaching stuff, I started really enjoying this part. Enjoying working with kids and enjoying just being around kids and seeing how they were growing as you're helping them grow, succeed. I'm like, I wouldn't mind doing this. And then education started coming into. And then once I started getting an education at YSU, that's where I said, well, let's try and go into this. And I forget who I was talking to, but someone told me that she had an opening potentially, and to go up and talk to you. I forget. It might have been Mick, but I forget who it was. So I went up and talked to Coach, and the rest is where it went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I came aboard with 91, and
91.
Coaching freshman. Will Bagnola was our other coach. Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember Mills coming on board?
Well,
What-
yeah, I
what the-
remember him coming on board. Do I remember? Yeah, there's a lot of things I don't remember.
It's 1991.
I know as far as the Patriots that we had a clinic. I don't know, in the gym
Mm-hmm. I actually remember that a little bit.
where we had players involved, and we brought any of the youth teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if St. Brendan's was filled in the team then, but St. Christine's and,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
Patriots and
Westside Bears. They
yeah.
still had a team back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that a little bit. So, and maybe that's where we first started talking a little bit. But I said I remember it may have been Mick, but I forget if it was exactly him. But there was an opportunity, so I went up and talked to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went from there. So,
I was thinking, but we talked yesterday. I was thinking about, freshman coaching and what's all involved with that. What were your responsibilities? Obviously you're coaching the freshman football games and things like that. But what responsibilities did you have with the varsity team? What was Ron doing at that time?
well, I was helping with scouting. We'd help with scouting. Sometimes go watch other games. But then game day, I think you had me up in the booth, just charting formations and charting like pretty much with the offense, with how the defense would line up versus certain formations and so on, and giving to you at halftime. That kind of was my role for some time until I came on the field. Kind of stayed with that role even when I moved up to varsity as far as game day stuff. But the freshman part, he was pretty much primarily doing all of that with the exception of game day.
Who was with you on the freshman at that time?
That was Will. As far as
Will
players,
Bagnola.
yeah, the coach was Will Bagnola. So, and that's the best opportunity to learn to coach. I mean, you take all the skill. Will had the linemen, both sides of the ball, and that's where you learn. It's a great place.
It's the route I went.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
started at Camel in '74,
Yeah,
doing the 9th grade.
yeah. Upon reflection, I appreciate that because that's where you learn your chops, so to speak. I mean, you have to be able to know it all, and it helped.
Now, me and Bobby Fredericks, we suited up. But you never.
I didn't suit up, no. Carl Freen and those guys, no. I didn't suit up. Steve Klingsky, I was still young, but no, I didn't suit up.
I could remember as an assistant putting on a helmet to demonstrate, putting your face in the numbers,
Yeah,
running a full-scale tackle drill, and Bobby Steinbeck salivating to run the football and have me tackle him. And I mean, he 6'1", 205, recruited by Pitt.
what year was that?
That would have been like right around 80-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think right around 1980-ish. And it was the last time that I was going to show how tough I was, because I mean the helmet was sideways and it was everything I had to just kind of like admit to myself, boy, that was pretty stupid.
Did you ever suit up again?
No.
Was he? Was it because he wanted a piece of you, or was it because it's just an
Well, it
opportunity
was just
to get
an
it-
opportunity.
just
Yeah,
It's a proof of
yeah.
point.
to get with
Yeah,
the coach?
You think you're tough? Let me show you how tough I am.
Yeah, no. I never had that urge to do that. No.
Is that why you would always tell us never scrimmage with the kids as a coach? Never scrimmage.
scrimmage with the kids.
that was more in the weight room and I understood what you were saying, but you know, what I mean, that seems to be a common theme, right? You know, you bring guys in, they coach freshmen. Traditionally, I think Cipriano did, Mills did, Zielinski did, I did, Matt Guarneri did, PJ did.
And then JV too. You moved up still
Sure.
young, and you coached JV,
Right.
which is still similar. I mean,
But was that, did it just kind of happen that way, or that was just also your philosophy and design?
Yeah, I don't think there was any design in it. I think that's how it just fell. You know, I mean, that's where the openings would occur. You know, and then you kind of
Feel from within.
it wasn't. There was no blueprint, and that's how you enter the inner circle. Is you go up the ranks.
Right.
It just fell that way.
But you, most of those guys would prove their mettle down there.
Oh, absolutely.
And then so when that varsity spot
Sure.
opens, you.
Sure.
I would
Yeah.
think you'd be more confident in the coach that you had because they could do that type of stuff.
Sure,
But you-
sure,
you know,
yeah, and when your group on the varsity level, when there would be a vacancy, you know, it was just the natural fit,
Right.
You know, to take someone
Yeah.
from within the ranks. You know.
Yeah.
I would think if I was doing it long enough, if I had that opportunity to coach long enough where I was at Salem, that if I could have that opportunity to have guys rotate through from the young ranks through, I think it makes a better coach.
Yeah, yeah,
So you would hope it'd make a better coach.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So what was the transition like? You know, 91, 92,
Yeah.
you're coaching freshmen, and what was that transition like to go to the varsity level?
You know, I think it was an easy transition personally. I mean, because it wasn't like, you know, you coached and had your guys, but you still were around. I mean, being a young guy and, you know, not having a family to worry about at the time with as far as children, wife, anything like that. You know, I lived up there. You know, so if practice was over, you know, if we wrapped up and we still had varsity stuff, I'd go over there and see what's going on. So I was around. You know, I wanted to be around. It was just something to learn and be a sponge and just help out in any way I could. So to me, it was a seamless transition. I didn't, you know, I don't know how Coach felt, but I would hope, you know, I proved my mettle, as you said earlier, and, you know, I came aboard and was deemed worthy to help out. But to me, I thought it was just an easy transition because I wasn't afraid to ask questions. I wasn't afraid to get involved. I mean, that's, you know, you got to ask. I mean, you know, I don't know. I still don't know everything.
There was no deliberation
No.
when the opening occurred. I mean, it was an automatic that move be made.
Yeah, and even then with me, when the opportunity arose, it was kind of it was full time, but it was a part time. Like I had the tight ends, coach the tight ends per position, and I think I helped you out with the outside linebackers
Probably
because Mick was still there.
because I was kind of weaning to try to oversee everything.
Yes.
Defense on the defensive side
Mm-hmm.
and be able to bounce around.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Yeah.
So, and even that was nice to me. I thought was a nice slow transition because, you know, learning from this guy. You know, this is his team, his program, and learning we're going with it. So that was a really good thing. And then, you know, we just moved into the secondary and the receivers after that, and you know, that's where I stayed for most of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that you both would concur to this that it was never about, you know, working for me as much as it was working with us, working together side by side. There was no, you know, pecking order, so to speak.
No.
I mean, it was about, you know, we're all in this together. We're all on the same page, and
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, even from a young coaching age, you would listen to input, you know, and I think but I always felt like that came with, you know, looking back, it came with, okay, you know, somebody gave it came with believability, you know, if you give a good input and we do it and it
Yeah.
works. Okay, and you I guess you earn that. But there was always that willingness to listen.
Yeah.
Unless it was Roy Guy talking about running counter Trey. you know,
Well,
you know, as stupid laying on the bench, stupid. No, but I think that was really, really always something that I took from it.
yeah, it was never about, well, I got the chalk.
Right.
Yeah. No. But in my opinion, there was a great motivation to want to succeed because the program was clipping at that time.
Oh yeah,
It was clipping, and you didn't want to be. And to me, that's how I felt. I don't want to be the young guy to come aboard and screw up my part to mess this thing up. I mean, 91, 92 started it all. I mean, the 90 team gets their first city championship, 91 the first playoff appearance, 92 the win, and it just starts going, and then from there it's just build and build and build. I mean, just great motivation for a young coach to want to go in and to do his part to keep it moving, keep the train floating here. So.
Yeah, and I've said that, and maybe I didn't verbalize it. I said that when Pope was on here, there was a lot of, and I mean this positively, there was a lot of positive peer pressure to do a good job.
Yeah.
And Ron, you said, and we had a lot of fun too, which we did, but, there was that expectation of excellence that was really a positive thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go out there and give the universal sign for I don't know on what the blocking scheme is. As a coach.
Well, that's the believability, like you said. You want to make sure that if I'm adding input, I'm adding stuff that it's going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna, like you said, I'm not throwing stuff against the wall hoping something sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think all of that. I don't think I'm positive that all of that was permeated by not just a belief, but that expectation of excellence because of preparation.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, we all believed in preparation being 90% of the battle,
Oh,
as
yeah.
the cliche goes.
Yeah.
And I was willing, and I know that you guys were willing to burn the midnight oil.
We did.
And
we did. Yeah.
We were talking last night,
Yeah.
about that, and I remember my first year, '99. I can't remember if we were 4-6 or 6-4.
We were 4-6, I
Okay.
believe.
And
4-6, I believe, right? I think so.
I remember our Saturdays being there till midnight.
Oh,
I
they were long.
vividly remember that. And the next year we go 10-0, and there were times where we'd get out at 7 o'clock, and I'm thinking that this is like some kind of joke. Like, we're getting out this early. So for me it was kind of like the perspective of things is it was, and even then, when we play Wilson and we know we're gonna
say that's what sticks out.
we're gonna wax them,
Mm-hmm.
we're still there till midnight.
Oh yeah.
because it was a whatever it takes mentality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you didn't want to show signs, I think, too. Like we're gonna prepare like these guys are 10-0. Who gives a crap about the record? We're gonna go in and we're gonna do the same thing.
What did we always say? I mean, we always said that, hey, we could be 0-10, or we could be 10-0.
You're right.
Yeah. So when did you feel like you started settling in? Because by the time I came, talking to you, you come and you start going to the varsity '93. I get there, you only been there for 5 or 6 years, and it's like, but the relationship, the interaction, just being there, it just kind of, for me, transitioning in, it seemed like you had always been there. When did you feel like you settled in?
That's a great question. I mean, I would think I felt accepted early on. I mean, that wasn't the issue. I mean, I don't know if I ever felt like I was ever there. That's why I tried to work as hard as I could. I mean, as far as like camaraderie and family, that stuff, yeah, that always, first 2-3 years after that, I'm around and stuff like that. But like, I always wanted to make sure, and even to this day, I still have the same thing. I want to make sure that, I'm not ever going down there and just kind of skating along and doing this and doing that. If I'm going to take the field, I want to make sure that when I walk off the field, I did the best I could to try and make whatever group of guys I had, ready for whatever we're doing, whether it's ready for practice the next day, whether it's ready for the next game, whatever. I don't know if I ever got to that point, to be honest with you. I don't know if I ever did. As far as acceptance after the first couple years, I mean, after I kind of felt, you get your feet wet and you go, and when I really got aboard the varsity level, that's when I felt that. I felt accepted very quickly there. But I don't know that could be part of my makeup. I just never feel 100% confident in everything.
Maybe it was when I gave you the footballs.
The football, yes.
To preface this, everybody had post-practice assignments, and one of the biggest assignments was the footballs.
Well,
The kicking balls and throwing balls.
yeah,
Kicking balls,
footballs are
throwing
important.
balls,
Yeah.
and numbered. They were
Yes.
numbered.
Well,
Yes,
remember, we
yes.
mentioned this. We mentioned this in December. We had a budget we had to stick with. We had a budget. We couldn't just grab a new ball. That wasn't allowed. The new balls were rationed out. So you couldn't lose one. You lose one, you're short one. See, you think that. Now, we talked about it a little bit last night. I think the quotes on the scouting report might have been even harder. Okay? All right? Because, this is prior to the phone, prior to Googling stuff up. You couldn't just, pull these out of your hat. I mean,
Well, let's circle back to that. So the scouting reports,
Yeah.
right? We all had jobs to do on the scouting report, and
Yeah.
you would do the secondary and work with Pope, and
Right.
then you would do the cover,
Correct. The cover page, yeah.
and there'd always be a quote on it.
There was a quote.
And I was joking with him, like at the beginning of the year, it'd be like 1 or 2 words,
Yeah.
like go
beat
get
Fitch.
it, yeah, right,
Go
beat
get it.
Fitch. By the end of the year, it's like this paragraph of.
It's like pulling Lombardi and Wooden. I mean, I'm reaching here, man. I gotta go find some. I'm at the library trying to find stuff from at school because there's no Google.
Yeah.
So the footballs were big, but the quotes.
Did you ever lose any footballs?
I'm sure I lost a couple, but I'm telling you something right now, not many.
Oh
So.
shoot! You had to get the pump out. The pump was in the bottom.
Yes. Listen, you want to talk about football story, okay? Shaw.
Oh,
2000,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Now there's a football story. Do you remember that when we went up
Yes,
there?
yes.
Okay. I think who was Charlie jamming at the kicker?
He was.
Okay,
Yep.
so we go out in pregame to kick, and he kicks on the end that goes into a neighborhood, right?
Over the stone wall.
Over the stone wall, which there was a net. However, the net would look like it was probably about 100 years old. There was holes all over the net. Charlie kicks his first 3 balls through the net into the neighborhood. Okay? Now, we walk around because there's a big wall. We can't get out there. There's a guy in a chair leaned back on this wall saying, can we get out there? He goes, let me get my keys. He stands up. He's probably about 400 pounds. And he just kicks the door open. He goes, there you go. We're standing like, oh, my gosh. So
Yeah.
we go around and get the balls.
Yeah,
See-
and that is a fact. I think a spin on that was, I think my son actually came to me and said, "Dad, we need to get through this door." And I asked the AD who paged this
This guy.
big guy that you're talking about.
I got the key
And
for
he
that.
acted, that's a fact.
Yes,
He
he kicked the door
he
open.
kicked the door open.
Yes, and it was something that we were just, and that's like I will never forget that.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a little bit earlier, but
And
I'll
then
never forget that.
and the near riot after
And
the
then the
game.
near ride afterwards. Yes.
Well, there was a near riot at halftime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
there was.
Well,
Yes.
no, it was. I don't know if I've ever even told you this, but Jerry O was coaching with us that year,
Right.
Yes, he was.
and that was a very pivotal game for us because
Oh yeah, yeah.
we
yeah.
were.
That's a good team.
It was a good team.
Yeah.
We ended up beating them. We got them pretty good.
Yeah,
Yes.
we
Who was their
stunk.
coach? He's from Mooney, wasn't
Delvin Culliver. He's
Culliver,
at East
yeah.
now.
Yes, yes.
So remember the week before they're playing like Parma or somebody, and we
were
go scout
in
them,
the rain.
and they're down like 21-0. And it starts to rain, and you're like, "No, I want to stick around, and I want to see the rest. I want to see the second half, how they come after second half." Well, I end up beating them.
Yeah.
Shaw ends up coming back and beating this
Yep.
team, and so we're really like, "Wow."
Right.
So we go up there, and I think at halftime it was still a game, maybe 14 points or something,
Yeah.
you know. So everybody's and Barbara brings the band down behind that track. Okay.
The track that went into the end zone.
Yes, and it was the what do they
Cut the
call
corner
that?
of the end zone,
What do they
right?
call
the
that?
cinder block.
Yes,
It was a cinder. I mean, that's block cinder.
and it's super tight, and the band's playing, and Jerry's like, "Hey, keep it down," and he didn't keep it down. And by the time it's like Jerry's ready to go back, I'm like, "Jerry, come on, man!" It was that game from Friday to Friday was just one of the craziest experiences. The riot in the parking lot
Yeah.
around the freshman bus.
Yes, it was around the yes,
Right?
around the bus. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it was. Yes.
I think we won like 48-0.
Yeah, it was-
we
it
rolled them
was-
at the end. Correct. Well, that team was pretty good.
Who
Mark, the
went?
2000
Somebody
team.
went. A wide
Yeah,
receiver
they
there
were.
went and played with Brad
Yeah, Missouri. Correct.
Gage, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yes. Yeah.
Was it? No, it's Justin Gage. Was it?
Might have been.
Yeah.
Might have
I
been.
think there was from Missouri. Yeah.
But yeah, those were. I mean, you know, those were good times. I think the footballs.
Oh, the footballs. Yeah, that was a big time job. You know, it's your first job you get, and you know, I was looking for. You're talking about the practice thing for something, and I was looking in responsibilities. You had a responsibility sheet for all of us every year. We met, you know, to start the season off, and I saw footballs actually on there today. So footballs.
What one of the things we were kind of talking about it, you know, what were some of the memories, you know, like the memorable seasons or times that and I have some things in my head, and Ron, I'm sure you have some, but I just want to ask, you know, as you're coaching, what were some of those memorable seasons or experiences?
I mean, you know, first of all, they're pretty much all memorable. I mean, everything. I mean, you know, you come aboard as a freshman coach, 91, 92, as I said, that's, you know, the joy of making your first playoffs. You know, like I said, 92, playing at Mollenkoff, that snow that comes out. I mean, you know, winning your game against arguably a great player, Reggie Garnett. I mean, great
Back-to-back
player.
state champs.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. That's your first win against that caliber of a team. You know, that stands out to me. Watching John Cook, seeing guys, players, Carl Farina, those other names pop up like that. That pops up. Then the '96 team, the undefeated team, where I really thought that team was going to go far. I really thought that team was going to go far. I never looked ahead, but then that year looked ahead, and I remember that game. It was a Saturday game, I believe.
Yeah.
And
was.
waiting around to play on a Saturday, I never had that really to happen, and that was horrific. I drove up the Fitch twice, and then just watched the weather just transform and ruin it. I mean, just it is what it is. But '96, then turn around '97. I mean, the run was something I'll never forget. Losing the East, coming back, making that playoff run, playing East again, knocking them off. I mean, beating Walsh, then going within a whisker win a state championship. I mean, and obviously then Brad, and even '99 when you mentioned the 4-16 when we struggled a little bit. I mean, you still saw inklings of something that could happen, that could be special.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You saw kids that you had some dudes, they were just young, and then you had some incidents happen that
That gang, aside from winning a city championship, they overcame the
that storm. I mean,
storm.
yeah, I mean, and those little things just sidetrack. But then in a way, that storm I think solidified them more. That next year they came together. They were a close group,
Absolutely.
And that 2000 team was unbelievable. In 2001, that was Justin Hood's team, correct? the following year.
Yes.
You know, and expectations there were none at the time.
Or it would have been no, it would have
It
been.
wasn't Justin.
It was Junie.
Was it?
2001 was Serrano, yeah.
Okay, Saran. When was
Then-
Justin was after that. Justin
Okay.
was
02, 03.
2003,
Okay.
2002.
And even Juan, and I remember Juan, that group. I mean, remember 9/11 with him.
Yeah,
His brother worked World Trade Center.
yeah.
I remember that, stuff like that. I mean, then, his group. And then, obviously, as mentioned, Justin's group. That group was a close group. Did a lot by themselves and working hard and working together. There's just so many great players that came through those doors that made the preparation you talked about a lot easier to do, because if you knew you prepared and got these guys, in the position that they were going to do it, they did it. So, there's just a ton.
Yeah, it was just a really, really special time and
Yeah,
experience with,
Definitely.
it's. What do you think made it so special? How would you, not the description of it,
Yeah.
but what do you think meshed it all together?
I think what meshed it all together was, you mentioned the word believe. I mean, I think we all believed if we did it a certain way, it would work.
Yeah, they believed
They
because
believed.
we were believable.
Correct. I agree with you. I think that those guys and all the other ones which I didn't name, I mean, all these guys, they believed that they were going to be put in the right position, that they're working. They worked their butts off. Those guys worked their butts off. I mean, in the weight room, in the off season, in the summertime, conditioning. I mean, they'll throw stories at you, and you see these guys. I mean, they worked hard. There was no let up on their work, and I think they did that because they believed that we would put them in the right positions to succeed. That we were doing this for a reason.
I agree, and I think that part of that belief stemmed from not only the preparation part of it, but the off-season preparation part of it, but the community part of it.
Right.
I think that I look back at some of those highlight tapes and I see our kids interacting at a nursing home
Correct.
or at the food bank or whatever, and we got a lot of mileage out of their involvement, their
yeah.
willingness
Their
to be
willingness
involved in
right.
that.
Right.
I think that really solidified it. I look back and think of the 2003 group, Merrill and Hood and Bow and those guys, and it was a good football team. 9-1 regular season.
Yeah.
We lose a heartbreaker down to in Columbus, but that was only. But I don't know if there was a closer group than that group. I mean,
02 and 3.
the especially the 3 group. Those
Yeah.
guys did everything.
No, I agree.
Together.
There'd be days they said I'd be leaving practice and they're still down the field throwing and they were very tight. Yeah, they were very tight. So, no, you're right. But it was I just think everybody believed. I mean, and the community fed off it and we fed off of them and
Absolutely.
the community took care of those kids and it was good. It was real good.
So, after you in 04 was your last year?
04, yeah.
And Ron Mills and I were talking last night. At that point, there's a lot of changeover on the staff at that point. Pope leaves, Mills leaves. Mick's back. I can't remember if he was back for a year or 2 at that time, or just I can't remember how that worked. But he kind of came back. How did you navigate some of those things?
Well, not only was there, you know, people branching out from the staff and staff turnover, but there was kind of a transition going on with with the players.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, when we played Whitehall Yearling down in Columbus, we brought the freshmen,
Mm-hmm.
which was I thought a very talented class, but a very troubled class.
Mm-hmm.
There was some issues with attitudes, and it was like there was a buzz, and there's probably a number of reasons for why that occurred. One being there was a very good player that came up through our ranks and then left, and I think he took some steam with him when he left. Yeah, well, the kid, whatever, and there's no reason to mention any names, but it started to set things in motion as far as there was still talent there, okay, but the belief wasn't as strong.
You know, Mills, you after Cheney, you go to Salem, and what was kind of your thought process in making that move?
Well, I didn't leave because I was upset, animosity, anything like that. That's not why I left. You know, I was living on the west side, so I teach in Salem, still teach in Salem to this day. So it was an easy transition to come home from work, you know, drive to practice, coach, and then it was a 3-minute drive to my house. Well, I moved out to the Middletown in 2005, and you know, I was expecting my son was born also 2005. So it became family. You know, it became an issue with family. There's no way I can now drive from Salem to Cheney for 30 minutes and then jump in a car for another 30-minute ride back to New Middletown. So now, instead of being a straight line, so to speak, it kind of became a triangle, I called it, where now that becomes an issue. You know, so if practice is done at 7, I'm not getting home till 7:30, maybe 7:45, as opposed to practice done at 6:37. I'm home at 7:05 or 7:10. I mean, it's just it became life.
Yeah.
So that's why I left. And after that, 2005, I was an 8th grade coach. I still enjoyed coaching, but once again, I needed time. Coached 8th grade at Salem for 1 year, and then in 2006, the football job at Salem opened up, and I applied and took it. So that's where it went.
And
for
what
3
was
years.
Yeah, and what were some of those things, right? Like, you know, I guess, you know, kind of reflecting back, I was so influenced by Ron, by the program, by my experience that, you know, if you have ambition or you have, you know, you want to be a leader, however you want to term it, you want to kind of not copy, but replicate, but recreate with your own spin the good experience. What did you kind of take with you from?
Well, we sat down. I remember we sat down and we talked, and I wanted to make sure that, you know, I want to know. I kind of felt ready, but once again, I wanted to know, and I felt good about what I had learned, what I experienced, you know, and I wanted to take what I learned, and that was my platform. Obviously, you tweak some stuff and you make things your own. It can't be your program coming to Salem because it's not you coming to Salem, but it's your beliefs and your philosophy, because that's what I was ingrained with, and that I felt real good about. And when we got there late. You know, I got hired real late, and that was the first thing I you know, upon hindsight, you think about things. That was a tough thing because I spent my first year trying to run down and get coaches, and that was tough. You know, that family stuff you talk about, those long hours together, where, you know, I don't mind doing the long hours because you're doing it together. Well, the long hours you're doing not together, a lot of people did a lot of stuff on my own, and that took a lot out, and it hurt, I think, the product on the field. You know, it hurt the product on the field with the kids, and you do what you can with how you could do it, but we weren't on the same page. Everything we talked about, it was not the same thing. And for 3 years, you're trying to run this down and do all this. And by the time I got to year 3, at the end of year 3, I thought that we actually, through all this stuff, record, secondary, we were in a direction. I thought we had a good direction. We finally, like for 3 years, I was chasing down being young. I don't know if that makes sense or not. We were always a young team. We never had kids like grow up through sophomore, junior, senior. By the time they had senior, we're ready to run. We stayed young as far as experience. Well, that would have been my 4th year. We were getting to that point we were going to be experienced. And then Mike Apache comes in, and Mike did a great job. And they made their first playoff appearance. They go 8-2, and I knew we'd win. I didn't know we'd win that much, but I knew we would win. I knew we'd win more than we lost. I did feel that, but we didn't do that. So Mike came in, and great credit to Mike, and he headed in a great direction. So which made me feel good because another Cheney product.
Yeah.
Doing it. So that's kind of where we went with Salem.
Yeah, but I mean, so right, and it's one of those things. It's like you have the right kids, the right leader,
right,
the right assistants, and it all has to.
It all has to mesh.
Yeah, and
it's a process.
Right.
At least I think it's a process. It's still, to this day, it's still a process. I mean,
sure, it's hard enough coming in and rebuilding or trying to reestablish tradition with guys that believe the same thing that you believe in.
Right.
Yet alone coming in kind of solo and trying to recruit people to have the same mindset that you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So in that regard, it never meshed together.
Yeah.
It just never had a chance to mesh. And listen, I still in contact with a lot of my former players, and we still talk good stuff. But it would have been nice to have it mesh and see where it would have went.
Right.
So give it a run.
Yeah. Well, and I hear exactly what you're saying. And I think back, and we've said this a number of times.
Right.
After 3 years, going 1-9 our 3rd year, and then saying, hey, even though we're seeing glimmers, saying, listen, if we don't get this thing turned around in the right direction,
Right.
in a positive winning direction in 5 years, then we'll step aside.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, fortunately, great kids, great staff, it happened.
Yeah.
So we were able to see it through fruition.
Right.
But
Right.
I empathize with it.
Well, I don't regret a moment. Like I said, it's all part of the journey, and that's fine. And to be able to say you gave it a shot, you tried. Listen, I feel good about that. And,
Absolutely.
And obviously, I still talk to some kids, which means in some way, some form, some fashion, we touched them a little bit. We were able to make some positive impact, and I think that's what you're trying to do. It's all about that.
No, I agree, and I think what I kind of learned from doing that is the uniqueness. It's special because it doesn't happen often, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not common for you to experience that the program,
Right.
the friendships with kids, the success.
Right.
If that was common, then it wouldn't be special. It's the norm, right?
Right.
And
But don't you tell your kids the same thing? That's why you have maybe only 40-some kids out on a football team or 50 kids
Right.
out. If it was
Right.
easy, or if it was like that all the time, everybody would be here.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the hardest things was and you tell me from your standpoint, right? Like there was just a level of like, hey, we're gonna put time in,
Yeah.
and we're gonna put time in, and we're gonna go, we're gonna go to the Lions Club, and we're just gonna sit by ourselves. Like you had just that mentality of the way you're quote unquote raised.
Yeah.
And people are looking at you like,
Oh, well, listen, I'll go a step further. When I was trying to get coaches, I would talk to people, and they knew where I came from. They're like, oh, I can't do what you do. They would know. I mean, they heard of the reputation. I'm like, what are you talking
But wasn't that when you would talk to guys that you knew that were coaches? Wasn't that kind of like the badge of honor?
It was.
Like, you can't do it, but we can. And that was like, you know.
Understand this. Your tenure, both of you, your tenure at Cheney, your tenure at Struthers, Salem, didn't make you great coaches. What made you great coaches is your character, okay? And don't ever forget that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I do too.
And
I really do.
you know, it's there were a ton of lessons that I learned that have propelled me to do better that I needed to learn by, you know, not being successful or as success or what you envision as success. You know, so now you're at Springfield, having tons of success.
Yeah, it's been fun. I tell you, it came at the right time because you know you're beat down a little bit and you're not knowing a little bit, and you know I did take a year off. Wanted to kind of just come back with the family and just do that. And head coach Sean Guerrero, I met him after a football game one day or one night or whatever, and he said, "Do you think about getting back in?" I said, "I don't know. Let me know." And the only reason why at the time I'd ever would have thought about Springfield was that's where I live. I mean, you try and think maybe down the road. Well, I got my daughter, she's going to be eventually old enough in high school. I'd be around her. My son at the time, I didn't know what he would do, but maybe get involved. And that's how it turned out. You know, my daughter was a cheerleader, so going to the games, being part of her world for a little bit. Now my son's going to be a senior this year. He plays, so it's been an unbelievable experience to be part of with him, and to coach with him. Actually, coach him. He's a receiver and a defensive back, so that's still what I coach to this day.
God bless you.
Well,
that's got to be tough on the boy.
the boy's going to see this one time, so it's good. It is good, but we'll buck heads. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And you try and keep it away from the house. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I love them, and it's something that I cherish. I really do.
Just don't grate Santanium.
I will not. I will not. I don't think I have that makeup. No, I won't. But we do buck heads. There's no doubt. So, but it's still that's the main reason why going there. But we've had a lot of fun, and we said this a little bit in December. We talked a little bit. This group is close. It's close to what we have here at Cheney. What we have, and it makes it fun to come to practice every day and just to hang around after and bust each other's chops and do all that. And then it was the icing on the cake when a couple years ago Pope came.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And to have Pope come aboard and to carry this a little bit, it's been a good last set, so to speak.
He's not handling special situations.
No, he's not pulling out the card. No, he does not do that. And we try and push him to do that, but he lets somebody else do that. He is in special teams, though.
Okay.
He's in that.
One day, I'm gonna get a copy of that Brown special situation.
I almost brought it.
Did you?
I have one. I still have a copy of it.
And just go through all of them. Ron will have a gas can
the
for you there.
The invisible gasoline can.
and it was so funny because Pope would be like, everybody hates it now, but wait till we have to use it.
You're right. And he was the guy that just did it every
and
time.
He was right. I mean, I'm not saying because he was
yeah.
wrong. It was just he was
Yes. So it was fun having him come back, and it's been one heck of a run over there. It's been fun.
What was different for you from the first state championship game in '97 to when did you guys play in the state championship?
19 and 20.
Okay. What was different for you? What did you learn? Like,
I didn't learn anything. We lost 2 more.
Well, okay.
I learned seriously. Well, not seriously. I hate Maslin. You lose on a field goal with about 4 seconds left. Same situation as DeSales. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, but I learned the second time around to appreciate it a little bit more.
Mhm.
It just I mean, '97 happened so fast. The game, I mean, everything just was a blink of an eye. It's like, I remember vivid visions of that, walking out, seeing that stadium packed, and then it's like the game ended.
Yeah.
And then, looking to consoling kid, don't even know where you were rushed off to get interviews and stuff like that, and like, coming home to the gym afterwards. And when we went the first time we played Anna, I remembered if that's the first thing I took. Like, I'm gonna soak this in a little bit more. We're the haze in the barn, so to speak. I'm gonna soak this in a little bit more, and that was a good thing. And then the second one, I never would have imagined to go back to back. And that's, you talk about kids. I mean, there's a young man. The whole group was unbelievable. But a young man, Bo Brungard, who's at YSU right now, you'd have loved to coach a young man like him. Just willed those kids. I saw him after a basketball game. Actually, he was I think third place in the state for Mr. Ohio that year. Okay, and I said, congratulations, great job. He goes, I'm sorry. He goes, I'll win it next year when we win state. These kids are talking about going back to state. And I'm thinking to myself, we never got back. And all the kids that we had, all those great kids, and we went back. And it was just amazing. So it was just something to behold.
Yeah.
So it's been a good run. I mentioned, just blessed. 3 different football lives. Every life's been great. I've been blessed. So
It's an interesting way to put it.
yeah, it really is.
Lives, yeah.
So, but it's been unbelievable. It's been a good run.
Ron, any thoughts?
No, other than obviously, we know that we talk about this all the time, that we had something pretty special, and as you indicated earlier, when the old gang started to dissipate or break up, that wasn't an easy scenario, and I will say on the program, and obviously it states just how important all of us working together was, and it was a good thing, and you did a phenomenal job, and you're doing a phenomenal job now, and like I said, what I cherish the most is our association and friendship.
Well, it was an amazing opportunity, and I thank you for that. And to just be a part of that. I mean, like I said, each journey's been amazing, but there's just so much more. That's my alma mater. That's where I got to start. That's where everything that I believe in, as far as coaching, as far as even being a man. I mean, I grew up there. Grew up and became, what I hope I am today. Try to set what I can be today, and that I thank you for that opportunity, because that is something that I'll never forget. That's why this is, every journey's been great, but the first one is just unbelievable, because it grew up, from a kid to a young man to a man. So
Well, and again, what do we always tell the kids? It's not about wins and losses and honors. It's about becoming a good husband and good father,
Right.
A good Christian, and you certainly have done that.
Well, thanks. I'm trying. I got a long way to go to keep. Once again, I don't think you ever get there. You just got to keep plugging away.
Yeah, I hear you.
So just keep plugging away.